If you want to see more birds, there are a few skills that you can practice that will significantly improve your chances of that. And one of those is to learn to tune your ears to the soft sounds that are around you. When you can pick up the chip notes or certain distinctions in birdsong that are around you, especially when there might be a lot of other things happening, like maybe there's a bunch of people around, maybe there's lots of mechanical noises around you, but you can tune your ears to listen for those soft sounds, you're going to be a lot more likely to know that the birds are there. And today, during the Mindful Bird Sit, I'll share a story of how a birder was able to use these skills to pick out the sound of a rare species at a migration event that I was participating in. If you want to see more birds, there are a few skills that you can practice that will significantly improve your chances of that. And one of those is to learn to tune your ears to the soft sounds that are around you. When you can pick up the chip notes or certain distinctions in birdsong that are around you, especially when there might be a lot of other things happening, like maybe there's a bunch of people around, maybe there's lots of mechanical noises around you, but you can tune your ears to listen for those soft sounds, you're going to be a lot more likely to know that the birds are there. And today, during the Mindful Bird Sit, I'll share a story of how a birder was able to use these skills to pick out the sound of a rare species at a migration event that I was participating in. Hey there, thanks for joining the Mindful Bird Sit. If you're new here, my name is Kristi, and I help people connect deeply to birds and nature while boosting their skills, elevating their confidence, and helping them to fall more in love with life. If that's something you'd like to do, please subscribe and stick around. You can also join any number of my online courses like Identify Any Bird Anywhere, or you can check out The Roost, which is a new community for bird lovers. All right, let's get started. Yeah, I will. All right, so good morning. It's so good to see you all. And I wanted to start with this story. I was just out at Monhegan Island, which is this amazing island about 12 miles off the coast of Maine. And as with many islands and things like that, this time of year, it's just off the charts with birds and bird migration. And this weekend in particular, last weekend was a great weekend to be out there. Really, anytime in September is just amazing. I was looking at one of the checklists from my birthday from September 7th, and it was like, it was huge. This guy saw so many birds out there and rare species. And yeah, so it was like 5 days of just like nonstop, amazing birding experiences. And that's not the story. The story is that there were a couple occasions where some rare birds were seen and spotted. And one of those occasions happened because this gentleman, who's a very well-known, he actually owns the Freeport bird store. It's like Freeport Wild Birds, I think it's called. He owns the store. His name is Derek, and he was leading one group. We were in. There's multiple people out there with leading groups and stuff, and I was with the group that Dan Gardoki was leading. Anyway, so Derek's group, apparently, Derek heard this really subtle chip note. And he said, that's a black-throated gray warbler, which are Western warblers. They don't come to the East Coast. And so he eventually got on the bird, binoculars and everything, and was able to see it. And in fact, it was a black-throated gray warbler. Texted all the other groups. All the groups came up, and most everyone got to see it. I got to see it. But it all started with what he heard. And so I wanted to focus our skills today on our listening and our capacity to hear the subtle sounds and the quiet sounds. And I think it's really key for us to do that because I'm guilty of this as well. When I was out there, there was so much happening. There was just, I always describe like the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz, where it's like this bird, that bird, over here, look over there, and it's just like there was like, what was it? In one morning, I think we saw something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was like 3 merlins, 2 peregrine falcons. Like there's just stuff happening all the time. And like, oh my God, the cedar waxwings got startled because the merlin just tried to dive and it did catch one of them. Let's go look at that. It's just wild. It was amazing. So in the midst of that, to imagine like all that activity going on, to be able to hear a chip note is really quite an impressive thing. And now he's a very skilled birder, don't get me wrong. But you don't have to be. You don't have to be to hear this. It's just the process and the practice of tuning your ears while you have a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So this is perfect for someone who might be sitting in an area right now where maybe it's windy, maybe you've got some loud neighbor mowing the lawn or something like that, or dogs barking, whatever it might be. This is kind of a perfect experience and a great practice for when those times do happen to calm yourself down, center yourself, and start to listen for the quietest sound, which seems contrary because it's so easy to get our minds focused on that loud sound. So let's get into it, all right? Hi, and Claudia, you brought a friend. Is that your daughter?
Yeah, this is my granddaughter, Aaliyah. She's
Hi,
up for a
Olivia.
couple of days from
Nice to see you.
Texas.
Well, welcome. Oh, Texas. Goodness gracious. Lucky you. Birding here.
She's in El Paso.
Wow. Congratulations. Well, it's
Thank
lovely
you.
to have you. So good to have you. All right, we're going to dive into practicing right now. So, and today, as you could tell, is all about listening. So go ahead and if you're inside, go ahead and crack a window if you can, or open it all the way up if you will. And if you're outside, then you don't need to do anything other than listen. So let's take a nice deep breath in and exhale. And again, take a nice deep breath in. And this time when you exhale, do so with the intention of letting everything go. So remembering that we're here right now, you've devoted this time to being present, to being here. Some of you, most of you don't have anything else to do right now. So just let yourself settle in. Give yourself that gift of being here, being in this moment with permission just to be present. And then if you feel like you're in a safe and comfortable place, I'll invite you to close your eyes for just a few moments. And then begin to notice your breath. Notice the rhythm of your own breath, your unique breath right now. Notice if your breath is starting to slow a little bit as you start to settle in. Allow your shoulders to drop. Notice on your body if there's any tension anywhere. A lot of us hold some tension in our jaw, our eyes. Sometimes we squint to look at the computer or look at birds. And so if you notice anywhere on your face that might be holding tension right now, just allow it all to soften. So your shoulders are nice and soft, your jaw is soft. You can move down to your belly, noticing if you're holding tension or tightness in your belly. You might be sucking your belly in. Just let it soften. Give yourself permission just to be gentle in this moment. And the same with your hips. If you have any tension in your hips, you can just rock them gently back and forth, allowing them just to be nice and soft right now. We're setting ourselves up to be in a really receptive mode. So we're just softening all those parts of us that might be holding or gripping or resisting. You can shift down to your knees, noticing your thighs and your knees if there's any tension there. Allowing that just to soften and let go. And then down to your ankles and your feet. Just giving some attention to your toes. You can wiggle them a little bit, letting them just have a rest, have a break for a little bit while we sit here. Beautiful. And just take in the sounds around you right now. So there's no special intention in this moment. You're just going to receive the sounds in your area, whatever they may be. We're just becoming friendly with and related to those that are around us. So maybe it's human-made sounds, maybe it's birds, it could be mammals, whatever it is. Get to know who's around you right now. Beautiful. And since we'll be spending quite a bit of time with our ears today, we're going to actually gently open our eyes. We'll give our attention to our ears in just a moment. And when you open your eyes, find a point off in the distance to look at. So something that's anywhere from 10 to 50 feet away from you. And find one point to focus on. So it might be a leaf, it might be a branch, maybe a brick in your neighbor's house, whatever you might see. So let your eyes focus on that right now. And then slowly, as if you just dropped a pebble right there at that spot that you're looking at, and everything else around it was water, you're going to imagine that your vision is going to start to spread out like ripples in water. And so you're still going to stay focused on that center point, but slowly you're going to start to expand your vision and see how far on either side you can actually still see. Almost as if you're stretching behind yourself. You're going to stretch your eyes a little bit behind yourself while you're still looking forward at that one point. And then just stay here in this softened vision, this owl eyes, for just a few moments. And it's okay if your eyes start to get blurry. You can just allow them to be blurry right now. Let them get soft. And start to notice what you're picking up. Maybe there's some subtle movements of leaves or insects, could even be some birds, the clouds. Whatever it is, just allowing yourself to pick up what you might not have noticed before. It's okay to look around now, but as you look around, still do so with that softened eyes. And so today during our practice, normally when we focus on our ears, I invite you to close your eyes because it helps to focus on your ears. But today, because the practice is to listen while things are happening around us, we're going to keep our eyes open. And so I'll encourage you to, when you have your eyes open, to do so with owl eyes. So every time you can, come back to that softened vision. You can, of course, focus if you want to watch a bird or do something like that. But then when nothing in particular is happening, go ahead and come back to owl eyes again. And so we're going to begin by listening to the sounds. So let's first start with just acknowledging again the sounds that are around us, now with our eyes open, seeing if you can kind of pinpoint what direction they're coming from, how far away they might be. So becoming familiar with everyone that's around you, both near and far. And you can take your time working outward if you like to. So start with the closer sounds, going 360 around yourself, and then work your way slowly out, out, out. Even if you can hear a mile away, imagine that you could hear a mile away. And if you're indoors, that's perfectly fine. You can still listen to the sounds all around you. Human-made sounds are just perfect for this as well. So acknowledging all of those in addition to the non-human world sounds. Okay, great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start off by first listening for the human sounds. So most all of us should have some sort of a human-made sound around us, whether it's actual humans or it might be some kind of machine or mechanical sound. So it could be a generator, it could be air conditioning unit, it could be the refrigerator, whatever it is. I want you to listen for the human sounds right now. And then as you do, listening for the quietest of those. So listen for the quiet human made sounds. Like, what's the quietest human made sound you can hear right now? And we're going to stay in silence for the next 2 or 3 minutes while we do this. And so, as you're listening for and to these human made sounds, do your best to listen for all the human made sounds, but keep your attention focused on the quiet ones or listening for the quiet ones. And once you've found the quiet ones, see if you can get even quieter. Can you hear an even quieter human made sound? Like maybe the electricity coming out of the plug of your computer, whatever it might be. Just keep going deeper and quieter. And now some of you may have a human made sound like a refrigerator or something that kicks on, and that's kind of all you're hearing. And so what you can do is within that sound, like the motor as it's running has other sounds within it. There's many gears or there's many things that are happening within that one sound. So can you hear the different elements and the quietest part of that particular sound? All right, good work. So now we're going to shift over to animal sounds. So some of you might have some mammal sounds. You might have a cat meowing nearby, or a dog barking, or squirrels alarming. So if you can, listen for the animal sounds. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to listen for the quietest mammal sound that you can hear right now. If you don't have any mammals, I'd say spend like a moment or so listening for that in your neighborhood. If you don't have any mammals, you can shift right over to birds. We're going to go to birds next. So, listening for the quietest sound of an animal that you can hear right now. Great work. So now do your best to listen for bird sounds. So we're going to listen to the sounds of the birds that are around us and try to find within those sounds the quietest sound that you can hear. And just imagine that for every quiet bird sound you hear, I'm going to pay you $1,000. Oh, not really, but just pretend. Pretend it's worth something, right? Like for every quiet sound you can hear. So as you're listening to all the other sounds around you, you're listening for that quiet bird sound. Okay, great. And now shifting our attention to the insects. You can take your pick. You can say insects or plants. So, whichever one is most inspiring to you, we'll just choose one of them. So, listening for the quietest insect sound or the quietest tree slash plant sound right now. All right, good work. So now we'll wrap it up by going back to listening to all the sounds. And amidst all of the sounds that are out there in your environment right now, I want you to listen for the quietest sound that you can hear. So, the very softest sound relative to all of them that are around you. Excellent. So, take the next minute or two to offer a blessing or a gratitude to whatever, whoever you connected with this morning. So, anyone that caught your attention or your heart that you spent some time with, you can offer them gratitude or a blessing, if you will. All right. So, anyone that needs to head out, thank you so much for joining today. And otherwise, please stay for our chat. So, who would like to share from their experience this morning? Yeah, Jackie, want to start off?
Sure. So it was hilarious that when we're supposed to be listening for human sounds, there were absolutely none. And then when we were supposed to be listening to the mammals, I couldn't hear a single dog barking. There's always a dog barking somewhere. It was like turning on Merlin. You know, you hear all tons of birds and you turn it on and there's not a sound, you know. So that was funny. And there weren't any birds. And then there was one bird and it was making a chip call and it was a house finch. But it was really fun doing this. And um and with the owl eyes part of it, I it's becoming much more natural for me to do that. And the other day, there was a warbler flitting around in the tree, and you know how hard it is to see those. And so I just went to Owl Eyes, and then I could locate it and look at it. And it was an orange-crowned warbler, which is, I hardly ever see those things, and I always have to be looking, is this what it is? So I just am really grateful for the owl eyes thing just becoming much more, oh, here's what I could do is do this. And even if I'm just out walking around, sometimes I'll just do that. And so that was really lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, high five, Jackie, to you for developing that skill and continuing to practice owl eyes because it's phenomenal. Yeah, I have some stories from my trip just recently where that came in really handy, and I was spotting things that other people weren't seeing because I don't know if they were using owl eyes or not. Most people don't know about it, so I think I know that's what allowed me to be able to see what I was seeing, you know? So yeah, good job, you. That's awesome. Thank you. All right, who else would like to share? Susie, please. Yeah.
So I started out, um, actually, I kept my eyes closed the whole time so that I could concentrate on just hearing. And I heard the cicadas only, and it was really annoying. I'm thinking, oh, I won't be able to hear anything because the cicadas are just so loud. But then when you had us listen just for like the softest sound, I started hearing other things besides the cicadas. And I decided that, well, no, cicadas aren't so bad. Then I started thinking, is this like an orchestra? And I'm sitting and going and thinking, oh, well, now, why are the cicadas doing that? Where are they? And when did they, when did they, how do they make that sound? And what are cicadas for anyway? Why do we need cicadas? Um, then my thoughts were just meandering a lot. I, I was, I was amazed that I decided I'm not going to try and identify a sound when I hear it, a bird. And there were all different sounds, and I really had to pull back to try and think, now, who is that? I just wanted to enjoy the sound, and I did. I think that's the first time I've ever done that without, because I automatically think, oh, I have to ID that bird. Who is that? But it was a nice experience. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank the birds and the cicadas.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, what a treat, Susie. That's so beautiful.
It was nice.
Yeah, that you took yourself there and allowed yourself to do that. And I think it is often fascinating, even again with like my refrigerator, like thinking about the sounds within the sound, when I can let myself get deeper into that one sound, especially the ones that are annoying me. I think it's that way with people too. I find when someone sort of, this happened to me with one of the birders this week, where my very first interaction with him, I was annoyed with him. He was like, everyone was quiet. We were all at this garden. We were watching where the garden is, Susie. Like we were watching, we were all like waiting for this one species people thought might be there. and this guy shows up and he's just like, psh, 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 he does like the pishing. And I was just like, who is this dude? Like, why is he pishing? Everyone else is quiet. No, and I just got like all upset. And then I was like, all right, just, calm down. And I'm like, maybe he's a good guy. Or I don't know. Something shifted in my mind and I just thought, let me look at him in a different way. And so they kind of walked to my side, him and his partner. And I think he said something and I was like, yeah, I agree. And we started talking and then actually throughout the rest of the week, I saw him and his partner around. We had great conversations and it was like awesome. And I just thought, it is cool. I think when we're able to like go deeper into those things that might bother us at first, especially like the sounds, and then listen for something beautiful, like listen for the beauty within that, or listen for the richness or the depth that we might not have wanted or known to look for initially. It was just like, oh, it's an annoying sound, like I wish it would go away. Kind of like, that's an annoying guy. I wish he would go away, you know? Yeah, yeah. That's lovely, Susie. I'm so happy for you. Sweet. All right. Who else would like to share? Yeah, Anne Marie.
Well, there were squirrels alarming when I first had come out, and I could hear them. Of course, when it was mammal time, they were quiet. But the dog wanted in, so I had to quick let her in. So that was too loud. Um, but there were lots of little chitters and a couple other things. I'm not really good at not trying to ID those, Susie. So I'm always like, okay, who's making that one? Who's making this one? And I have begging cardinals, so they're like, you know, that high pitched constantly, which tends to blend in with the like kind of cricket insect noise that I've got going on. But have noticed I I when I'm birding and I'm out other places or here, I go slower so that I can discern which is which. Um, and then the other turns into more white noise so that I can let it go and listen to who's around. So this was a really good practice. I need to do it more. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think it's what it would be great is if for any of you who go on like, organized bird walks and things like that, or even when you do, especially this time of year, I think anywhere that is like a hikeable place is usually kind of like, or a birdie place, like there's going to be a lot of other people there potentially. And it's such a good practice, especially when I tried to do it more visually over this week when I was out there. But I want to do it more like auditorily as well, where like when Dan and the group might have been looking forward, like, oh, let's look for the birds over here. I always try to make it a practice to turn around and just look at what was behind us. Because oftentimes there would be, not always, but sometimes there would be, but just like to get my mind to not necessarily just focus on where the action is, but like remember that there's stuff behind me or other, other directions. And it's so good. And I mean, he's very skilled at the sound piece of it, like where, we can be in mid conversation and then he'll hear a sound. And I'm not too bad at that, but always looking to go deeper, 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 more subtle, more subtle, more subtle. And this guy, Derek, is just, sort of like a savant with the sounds. And for him he not only did he hear the chip note of this bird, he knew the chip note of this bird. So he's someone that's been birding since he was like very young and very, very focused and very skilled at the sounds. But the cool thing for me is that you don't have to know who it is, like what Susie was saying. It doesn't necessarily matter the who as much as like the what, so that you're hearing a sound and you're like, ooh, that's a chip note of someone. Maybe what you recognize is that it's a new one or it's different from what you're usually hearing, and that might get you to like, peek it up and like and turn around and listen. But anyway, I find that it's just really a beneficial thing to keep our, like when there's a lot of activity, a lot of noise, that we can still listen, like Susie, within the cicadas, you were still able to like take in other things that were happening, around you. And I think that's, we're getting, all of us are getting really good with our owl eyes. So now I think it's time to like, turn the heat up on our ears and start to be like, all right. And even if like, let's say some of you have hearing loss, like maybe you don't hear the way you used to, still for your level of hearing, I think it's still a good thing to try to listen to the softest sound that you can hear. Maybe someone else can hear other sounds that are softer, but whatever it is for you, like keep stretching your ears to listen for the softer sound. And yeah, you might just get surprised one of these days. All right, anyone else before we head out? Any last stories? Okay. Oh, yeah, Jackie, you want to say something?
I've been thinking about technology a lot lately
Mm-hmm.
and humans and how, especially those of us who care about climate change and love nature and all of that, it's so easy to not like humans.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that we're the problem. And that, of course, can be the case, but at the same time, we're miraculous creatures as well. And I just thought about how amazing it is that the technology that we've created that's made our lives so much better. And when you talk about the refrigerator sounds, it's like normally I'll hear those kinds of things and just kind of be annoyed by them, like you're talking about with the guy or whatever it is we're annoyed with. And I went, wow, isn't it amazing? Somebody came up with that idea. And how much has that made our lives so much better that we can have refrigerators
Yeah.
or things like that? It's sort of like we're part of evolution too, and whatever we're creating, it has its ripples as well as what any other creature has. And um, so it was so helpful to have you talking about, even go deeper into the sound, the mechanism of this, the complexity, because everything is complex and it's easy for me to forget that and just have a one note song about something.
Yeah. What a beautiful reminder, Jackie. I think that, yeah, it's just really beautiful to think about the gift that we're all given, that we do take for granted. Running water, heat in our houses, air conditioning in our houses, like those simple things that, yeah, oh man, the HVAC unit's annoying and it's so loud. And it's like, it's really easy to get, and think about that, like just energetically, as we're sending like, sort of negative juju out there, those things in our lives that are like helping our lives to be so lovely and wonderful now, that like I can go in the refrigerator and open it up, and if I'm hungry, there's food there that, I don't have to, like, I don't know, go chunk ice out of the, the lake in the winter, and to try and keep things cold, or whatever. It's like, yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing to think about that. And yeah, all those mechanisms. And there's one of my teachers, Martine, used to always have us, like even like a fork, for instance, that everything has a sound, and that sound can be a really holy and beautiful thing, like a really magical thing. And so he'd have us go around and like, just like listen, like what is the sound of the spoon that you use every day, and sort of like ding it on something or whatever, and
Wow.
listen to that. And those things that you take for granted, but like each thing has a magical sound to it. And so listening for the song, like the song of everything that's in your life. What's the song of the wood, on your wall, or the bed frame, just sort of like start to make music with that and listening for their sounds. And yeah, I feel like it gives us a different relationship with those ones around us. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that richness to us, Jackie. I really appreciate that perspective.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I also just want to say I've missed everybody. I just, I haven't been able to come as much as usual. And I was like, you better make it there this morning.
That's right, Jackie. All right, you all. Well, it's so good to see everybody. And let me just think if there's any roosty things to share with you guys. I don't think so. I have put it out there to the world now. So I'm going to be doing more spreading of the news about the roost. So if you have any friends, it's also a great gift. I'll be doing it as gift opportunities for people. So you can buy someone like a 3 month, 6 month subscription if you want to it, or year long or whatever. But anyway, if you have friends that you think would be stoked to be a part of what we're doing, then definitely share it with them. It's now on my website, so you can go to Bird Mentor and just there's like 3 tabs, like the bird sit, the song class, the whatever, and the roost is now one of those tabs, like the big sort of boxes that are on my website, Bird Mentor website. So you can share that with people now. And yeah, the warbler cards are out there. So I hope you guys have all been practicing. I used them while I was out at Monhegan this week. It was so busy, I couldn't use it most of the time. But there was one day where I was able just to be with this one warbler and I didn't really know who it was. There, because out there it could be anything. So I spent time with my warbler card and I was just like, I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot this. And I'd like go back and look and be like, okay, oh, what about that? And go back and look. And I was able to use it to make an ID of the bird. So yeah, so they're fun, and anyway, hope y'all are enjoying them and we will see you. Oh, Wednesday, that's what it is. Wednesday we do the ID Any Bird for the roost. So anyone who wants to come to those sessions, 11:30 on Wednesday, a.m. Eastern, and be doing another warbler focused session. So I will see you guys then or the next time we see each other. Thanks everybody. Bye.